again, folks. Welcome to another episode of Spilling Tea. I'm your host, Tiffany Daniels. We're going back to that horrible world known as the JRC. But before I do the usual disclaimers, and I'm just going to vent because, after I finish up preloading, I get to help clean out the back room. And again, I know I addressed this earlier, but it's a big TV, folks. It is huge. And it's so big, we had to come up with a strategy. We literally had to come up with a strategy on how to be able to get the legs onto it and move it into the back room once we get the back room ready. It's going to be a long process. Like Paul's literally going to make fish sticks tonight as his comfort food. He's already talking about it. We're going to eat like we're 5. Because, yeah. We don't like change too much in this household and hearing them their barks. No, sir, we don't. But anyways, I get to deal with all of that fun. And yeah, I even got the all the bags I need to get things cleaned up so I can get that thing moved out of our hallway and moved to where it can actually be used. So, send help. Alright, folks, to the disclaimers. In the description box, you're going to find a link to the article the Judge Rotenberg Educational Center doesn't want you to read. It is written by NeuroClastic, a small non-for-profit started by autistics for autistics, wherein they interviewed and surveyed over 900 ABA professionals in regards to the JRC's so-called behavioral modification program. Matter of fact, the JRC doesn't want you to read this article so much, they have threatened NeuroClastic with a defamation lawsuit if they did not remove it from the website. NeuroClastic has refused, so you know the drill. We be salty on this channel. Please read that article. Read it again. Read it a 3rd, 5th, and 50th time, and share it on all your social media. We also got linked in their NeuroClastic's public statement regards to the defamation lawsuit threat, as well as a link to their GoFundMe. We are crowdfunding, folks, in case these bastards actually have the balls to see through with their threat. We got the pertinent links to the Agape boarding school situation as well. Agape boarding school is a Christian-themed boarding school of which we have a plague out here that takes in so-called troubled male teens that has impending over 21 civil lawsuits, allegations, and claims leveled against it, all which have been substantiated by the hard evidence found by the investigation done by the Missouri Department of Social Services that include the following: sodomy, rape, sexual assault, child abuse, psychological and emotional abuse, child trafficking, starvation, and that's just for starters. You have one former staff member arrested by the FBI, another doctor still on the premises with full access to the boys, up on multiple, substantiated by hard evidence, again, counts of sexual assault, rape, and sodomy of the boys there. We got a new attorney general who's liking to exist. The Agape boarding situation doesn't exist. And you've got a governor that is hyped up on a power trip with full control of our state National Guard and is a GOP stupid to the max. We live in hillbilly GOP hell. Okay? If I were to describe Missouri, that would be it. It is GOP hillbilly hell.
It's heaven to them.
Please shoot me. So, please don't forget to share all those articles. Don't forget to share and sign the change.org Shut Agape Boarding School Down petition. We got the pertinent links to the Stop the Shocks campaign as well, including Autistic Hoya's massive archive on the subject, Jennifer Masemba's behavioral sheet over shockable offenses, a clip out of the 7-hour ordeal undergone by Andre McCollins that made Paul a special kind of angry. And we also have the templates and the ever-present self-explanatory change.org Shut the Judge Rotenberg Center Down petition. When we discuss the JRC, you're going to hear vivid descriptions of it, catch clips of surveillance footage of people with disabilities being tortured and abused. If you have young children present, please use your headphones. This channel is marked not for children for a reason. We use profanity and talk on dark subjects. If your child is 16 and younger, parental supervision is very obviously advised. Trigger warning, after the 2 sane articles we got to go through this morning, We are now once again descending into the mad ravings of the lunatic mind known as Dr. Matthew Israel. He's going to cite himself as evidence that he's right. Gaslight, victim blame, lie, and just bizarre pseudoscience that should never see the light of day anywhere. Enough ableism and bigotry to circle the globe a few thousand times. Just be prepared for that, all right? All right, so we're going back to where he was citing himself, his charts, because he's the Ross Perot of disabilities, according to himself, and he's got a chart to prove it. Fucking kill me. The following 36 charts show how effective JRC's behavioral skin shock has been in the treatment of aggression for all students who were started on the use of skin shock during the 2-year period of 2003 and 2005. Can I say again, this is his chart. This is not corroborated by anybody outside of his psychosphere. These are all his doctors and himself. As noted in the previous article, there are no studies outside of this that corroborate his findings. And you should question his findings very much because he himself is conducting it. That is a major conflict of interest red flag that everything you're about to read here should be at best used as toilet paper. It is not even worth the small amount of money you have to pay for ink that it was printed on. Charts for all these students are shown, not just the selected charts that show favorable results. And yes, I'm rereading from last time, because fucking seriously. Each aggressive behavior is shown during 1 week. So we've gone over this a little bit. We're going to skip past it because you can't cite yourself as evidence. Could you even imagine that in a criminal case? Could you imagine that someone up for murder is going to say, I didn't do it, and I'm right because I did this study here, and you can see obviously I proved I didn't do it. Could you see that actually flying? Yeah, no, you don't at all. This is a level of idiocy. And these are all his stupid little charts that he's including as his exhibits. Again, he's using as exhibits his own studies to prove his point. He's not pointing to any outside study that's ever been done, and there's a good reason why. Because most sane people who actually even at least have a small little heart would call this inhumane and unethical as fuck, and they're right to do so. That's why no studies on this subject exist outside the 1970s. I'm still not over it. I'm still not over it. No, I'm not going to look at your charts, doctor. Your charts are skewed because of your own personal bias. Anyone who's looking to prove their point will find out reasons why they are right. I'm going to say that again. Anyone who's out to prove their own point will find reasons as to why they're right. It is not unbiased. It is not corroborated. And if this was put forward as a scientific paper and then you cite yourself, nobody's going to take it seriously. No serious medical publication would even print it. They would just laugh you out of the room. It's ridiculous. It's a literal joke. And remember, folks, I just read to you how much this school is receiving in money every year. Over $82 million every fucking year in federal grants and tax money. Okay? We're paying for this dude to get off on torturing disabled people or his fucking acolyte. I don't know why he's putting these charts in. I'm not even going to read them because you can't cite yourself. The Israel et al. 2008 paper on aggression includes data for an even greater number of students, 60 in a long period of 3 years. Again, 60 people is not enough to be able to have a conclusive study on anything. You want at least 100 or a couple of hundred to even get at least some basis in reality here. And again, he's citing himself. And you want to know why that is other than the obvious? hold on here. Forgot to mute the TV. You want to know why? I'll tell you why. Because nobody outside his psychosphere calls this medicine. Okay? This dude is cuckoo for fucking Cocoa Puffs. Son of a bitch. In 2010, the Journal of Behavioral Analysis of Offender and Victim Treatment Prevention, published by Drs. Israel Linkush and von Hein Sands, documenting the fact that programs using positive-only treatment procedures were unable to treat the really difficult behavioral problems and simply expelled students when that happened. The paper shows how the students fared when they came to the JRC, which is garbage, because once again, this is what? 5 now. That's 5 times he cited himself. Doctor, nobody can trust your studies because you yourself have a stake in the findings. That's how this shit works. You cannot cite yourself when you yourself are the person under investigation. It's called conflict of interest and would not fly anywhere in medical circles or in a court of law. It's complete garbage. I want to know if, like, towards the middle of this, if the UN person who had to read this shit just pulled out, like, some scotch and got a tumbler out. It's just like, no, fuck it. I don't need a glass. I need to drink the whole damn thing. That is the level of annoying and just fucking mind-blowing stupid that we are reading here. Fucking God. The abstract of this paper is as follows. In the debate over adversives, a little-known but significant fact is often overlooked. Programs that restrict themselves to positive-only treatment procedures sometimes expel individuals with severe behaviors when their behaviors become too difficult to handle. Lie! Can I tell you why it's a lie? Because what he's referencing, he's using that vague-ass terminology that's just similar enough to an actual program that exists that the reader is inferred to connect the dots. What he's referring to is not even closely related to positive behavioral reinforcement. He is referencing ABA in its infancy form. He's referencing traditional ABA. Okay? What he refers to as positive only are programs that do not focus on adversives. That's a massive group of different programs, folks. Literally thousands of them. Okay? What he's referencing here is so vague, he wants the human brain, by using similar words, to make the connection. Okay? So that he can then go forward with his thesis. Why I think it's an important point to point this out and make it clear is because he himself has stated in his response to the New York 2006 report that he does not understand positive behavioral reinforcement. He has no experience in it and doesn't even know how to utilize it. So how could he possibly know how effective that program is for the individuals on it if he doesn't even know what it is? Yeah. I like pointing that out repeatedly because he likes to use these similar sounding words to make the person who's not the wiser make those connections. Okay? It's bullshit and it's bad for you. As far as they just expel people and they just give up on them and we at the JUC never give up. The fuck you don't. You threaten parents all the goddamn time with expulsion. You target specifically poor communities, even more specifically, poor communities of people of color, to bring these kids to the hell schools. These people do not have the same access that, say, I do to the other programs out there. More than likely, those within those communities don't even know these other programs exist. They certainly have no access to them, which is his own fucking problem I've been fighting for decades, along with everything else. Okay? They haven't tried everything. They haven't tried everything because they don't have access to everything. In spite of what this doctor tries to tell you, These type of programs are not cheap, folks. There's a reason why a majority of the people on them have themselves funded through Medicaid, or if they're school age, through the schools, because they're expensive. They're not something that someone can just afford out of their pocket, especially if they come from one of those communities. It's bullshit and it's bad for you. I just wanted to bring that fact up there. I know how Dr. Israel and certain people feel about facts and evidence. Let's move forward here. We review 7 such cases of individuals with severe behavioral problems who were expelled from state-of-the-art positive-only programs and describe what happened to them when they were enrolled in a program that was able to supplement positive-only procedures with contingent skin shock when necessary. Okay, I'm going to stop him right here. He's doing it again. He's gaslighting you. You can see that, right? He's trying to gaslight the whole world. But they were expelled from all of these programs, but he never elaborates on the programs. Let me remind you again, although I have hammered on this. And yeah, he's going to give you shock photos, probably without the kid's consent, by the way. Fucking good job, doctor. I'm going to move up so that you don't see that picture because I know actually have some form of fucking dignity. Okay. He only references it as positive only. It's vague, but it's similar enough for your brain to connect the dots, right? Let me tell you the truth. These individuals in the communities that he preys upon have next to literally fucking no resources. Next to fucking none. If the kid even manages to get a diagnosis at all, it's a miracle. And it's usually always done through the school system. And how do I know that? That was how I got misdiagnosed starting from the 2nd grade. See, I was misdiagnosed as ADD during that time. And then put on Ritalin for the rest of my known existence until I graduated high school and finally got off Adderall. It's all done through schools. And what do those school programs have? Do they have positive behavioral reinforcement? Nowadays they do. But back in 2010, back in the time periods, especially of the early 2000s that he's alluding to here, all they had access to was ABA through the special ed programs inside their local schools. They did not have access to autism centers and different disability centers, diagnostics, doctor teams, OT, which is a form of therapy. You know what I mean? The teams and doctors that I had access to and that I was able to utilize outside of my school programming after I properly got diagnosed towards the end of high school, these parents don't have any access to. They do not have any of this in their communities to this day, and it is 2023 now. They tried everything that they had available to them. They haven't tried everything as he's trying to allude to. What he calls positive-only programs are simply programs that do not engage in shock or starvation or sleep deprivation or his bizarre behavioral rehearsal lessons, okay? Most of ABA doesn't. What he's not going to tell you the truth on is that these programs have their own form of aversives. These are utilized by means of isolation rooms, takedowns, removal of attention from the child, even when they are screaming in pain due to being in sensory hell. The programs that teach us to mask every day of our lives. If you think those don't have aversives, again, I got a river in Egypt I can sell you. Half price. Just for his level of stupids, half price, half off, come on, come one, come all. You know what I'm saying? It's bullshit. He is lying to you. And people who are none the wiser, who don't really know anything about this field and have never done in done any digging are going to be likely to buy it. Because we are taught to just blindly believe, hey, he's the doctor, he's the authority on this subject, we should trust him. You can't. You fucking can't trust these fuckers as far as you can throw them. And although I work out a lot these days, I am fucking shit at throwing human beings. Wow, that came off really bad and dark. People, I suck at even throwing a football, okay? I might be able to throw it like maybe 1 foot in front of my face. There's a better analogy. This doctor, again, has the arrogance and the balls to cite his own study by doctors who are on his own payroll and use it as means and evidence to try to convince you that his is the most revolutionary medicine ever. However, if you read the articles of anybody who's actually sane and has studied the data on these other programs, such as the article that we just read in the previous video before this one, you begin to see a pattern. Everyone can't be wrong and you're the only one right, doctor. Okay? The math is not mathing. Your charts are not even good for fucking toilet paper and should be thrown out and just put in excuse for a bonfire to maybe warm some of the cold animals. It's winter after all. They're not even worth the poster board that they were used on. Okay? They're props. Nothing more. They don't illustrate anything other than Dr. Matthews, Dr. Israel's own bias, his own hate, his own bigotry, who has drank his own Kool-Aid so badly that you could never convince him of anything else, even if you put the data sheets right in front of his face. But close out on that one. We don't get very many views on this channel, especially on this subject. The few that we do tend to get removed from time to time. So folks, please don't forget to hit the like button, hit subscribe, and don't forget to hit the comments. I do appreciate your time, and as always, we here at Spilling Tea hope you have a good one. Let's hope my first video of the day is finally done downloading. Bye-bye, everyone.